Beth Stewart. She's an abstract expressionist and self-described abstract artist who creates vibrant, complex acrylic paintings inspired by social justice. She began painting expressively in the midst of conducting research in post-conflict northern Uganda, grounding her creative practice in an ethic of bearing witness. Now as an educator of history and social justice, Beth draws inspiration from historical and contemporary stories of resistance, resilience, and revolution. As the incoming North Vancouver recreation and cultural artist in residence from October to February, Beth is focused on developing her practice of abstract artivism and sharing her creative mythology with artists and activists of all ages throughout her art workshops that inspire social change. Her paintings have been featured internationally in exhibitions, galleries, academic journals, conferences, and on book covers. They can be found in private collections throughout North America, Europe, and Asia. She lives in Vancouver with her 3 children, and her canine studio is just in Bear. She's been a friend of my daughter's for at least 20 years, so please welcome Beth.
30 years almost. 30 years. I've been friends with Miriam's daughter. Thank you so much, Miriam. And thank you for having me. This is really exciting for me. I want to just start off, before I get into the actual demo stuff, I want to just speak a little bit about abstract expressionism. And I want to tell you, explain to you why it's so fantastic and why it's also for everyone. So abstract expressionism, as I'm sure you're all familiar, at least loosely, is born out of that post-World War II moment, right? That moment when people were in an existential crisis, when the world as we knew it no longer existed, and people were grappling with trying to make sense of, trying to find meaning, trying to find purpose, and figuring out where they fit in this world that no longer made sense. So abstract expressionism really encapsulates that sort of existential crisis, that expression of that crisis. And so for me, it makes a lot of sense that I came to abstract expressionism while I was doing that research that Marion explained in East Africa. I was working with children who were born of wartime sexual violence over a period of 5 years. And so abstract expressionism for me was a really powerful tool, not only to just vomit out that expression, that emotional need to just let loose, but it also is a process that allows me to work through difficult emotions, to reorient myself away from the despair, the disillusionment. You know, it's so easy to get stuck in the dark, but this is a process that allows us to reorient our mindset to something more positive, to seeing things, to seeing the positivity in things, seeing the human agency, seeing the hope in the world. So whether or not you engage with the world global politics and are concerned about wars and whatnot, or you have your own everyday struggles, you're concerned about a loved one, whatever it is, abstract expressionism is a methodology that allows you to get it out. There's a catharsis in that, and then work through it to something more joyful, something more positive. So, and it's not just me saying this, there's so much research out there about this. I can vouch for that as an academic who does a lot of research. But I wanted to say that to let you know that this workshop that I am going to be giving next month is for everyone. No matter what kind of art you do, no matter what kind of art you're interested in, because it has a lot of value, abstract expressionism. So, are there any abstract expressionist artists in this room tonight? Yes.
Not yet.
There's a few. Are there any abstract artists? Identified abstract? Okay, great. So whether or not you have background in abstract expressionism or not. There's a lot in this workshop. And so I'm going to, well, before I do that, the workshop, as you know, it's 2 days, Sunday, October 19th, and Sunday, October 26th. And the first day, we're going to go through a bunch of abstract expressionist techniques. And you'll have lots of time to practice those and explore them and explore incorporating them and layering them together. We'll also explore different abstract compositions, and also we will experiment with jolting, bold color combinations. So that's what I'm going to go through a little bit tonight, is those 3 components. And then on the second day of the workshop, that's when you will incorporate whichever of those techniques spoke to you most, and whatever color combinations speak to you most, and incorporate those into your own abstract expressionist painting. If you're not comfortable by that point with your own, sort of branching out in your own abstract expressionist creativity, you'll be able to follow me step by step as well. I will encourage you to do your own thing, but you can certainly follow me step by step that second day of the workshop. Now, please interject anytime if you have any questions. Are there any questions at this point?
Yes. Do you use watercolors?
One of the sort of techniques that we will explore in the first day is watercolors. So I will have some watercolors available for everyone to play around with, but it's basically otherwise acrylic. But that is one of the sort of playful things that we will explore on the first day. Are you a watercolorist? Yeah. Other than that, it's acrylic painting. Any other questions at this point? Okay. So, like every abstract expressionist painting is incredibly unique because it's an expression of that moment, of that artist's mood in that moment. My abstract expressionist paintings also start, the first layer of an abstract expressionist painting is also very different painting to painting. So I brought a few sort of first layers to show you some examples of how a painting can begin. And this one is not abstract expressionist, as you can see. That is text, and usually I don't have, this only ever happens, it's a fun first layer. I don't worry about copyright. It's usually a research article that I've been reading. I don't worry about copyright because I usually paint over all of it, but sometimes words poke through into the final piece and it creates an interesting visual. But as I'm painting, if I do have the wherewithal to do this image transfer of text, which is something that I will discuss in the workshop, it sort of grounds my focus, my attention as I'm painting, which is kind of a nice tool. But like I said, I often don't have the wherewithal to prepare a painting. When I'm ready to paint, I just kind of go at it. But when I do have that base, it's fun. One of my most favorite abstract expressionist techniques is asemic writing. Now, raise your hand if you are familiar with asemic writing. Okay, so asemic writing, like all one word, asemic, is a kind of writing. It's the form of writing, looks like writing, it feels like writing, but it's not words. It's an expression of, well, it's your thoughts and your ideas and your emotions before you turn them into words. So it's catching that subconscious expression before things get lost in translation, essentially, right? But you're using that familiar form of writing. So, see, it just, and I've got an asemic journal beside my bed, and sometimes that's how I fall asleep, just writing in my asemic journal, just going at different styles. It's fun to layer it up. And I've done an asemic writing workshop actually with researchers who conduct research with perpetrators of mass violence. And they found it very useful way of just sort of helping them process some difficult things that they've been grappling with in their research. So there's that. You can sort of play around with it. And this is a fun one to layer into a painting at different stages. You can also, this is acrylic ink. Yes?
What's the difference between what you're doing and scribble?
This is exactly what my kids call it. They call it my scribble writing.
Oh, so it is scribble?
It is. Yeah, exactly. It's scribbling.
Good.
It's scribbling. And I'm a big proponent of doodling, scribbling, all of that stuff, because it's that tapping into that subconscious, right? It's tapping into that isn't words. Because when you have to put things into words, you kind of lose a lot. And so it's just sort of this sort of mindfulness practice of sorts. But scribble writing is exactly what my kids call it.
You're trying to write the word and it comes out as scribble.
Yes, there's that too.
Because that's what I've been doing here. I'm trying to write the word but I can't see it.
When I'm actually writing my writing, yeah, with some scribbles too.
Sorry.
It's also equally illegible. So this is, so things like this, a few other just sort of fun tools I don't expect you to bring to the workshop, so I'll be able to provide some of them. For the paints and the pasta markers, if you want to use those during the workshop, I will just ask for a $5 donation, but you'll be welcome to use as much of my paints and my pasta markers as much as you want. I use really fluorescent colors, and I'll get into that in a bit, so you may not want to buy your own if you're not sure of it. But this one is fun, just creates this fun, larger type of asemic writing, right? A real nice visual focus. And this one here, this is just something that I was playing around with earlier, but you can see a similar sort of with the focus, so you can put it on either in a behind layer or a later layer. It can be more of a focus, or it can be something behind. And one of these, which one is it? The orangey one, this one here, you can see I did a lot of asemic writing in there. I worked it into somewhat of the architecture of the painting. Different colors. Also, pencil crayons are great for layering asemic writing. And just playing around with. And I'll bring into the workshop a lot of different types of asemic writing, because it's so much fun and there's so many different ways to play with asemic writing, and I think it's such a great practice to incorporate into your art practice, whatever it is that you do. So that has to dry. So another sort of base layer that I commonly start off with, which is just expressive mark making like this, just going at it. And for this I used a wide Posca paint marker, and just holding it at the end, and just kind of just going with it. And the nice thing about starting a painting with this kind of foundation is you can either play with the composition, if it's a composition that you like, you can paint over it, and then it creates some interest in behind when you're painting with so many layers. Let me see.
Sorry, what are you painting on? Is it wood?
canvas boards. And then I've also got some MDF boards mixed in. I don't like the MDF boards as much because unless I paint the backside, they tend to warp. But they're handy just to have around. I feel like there's, when I'm painting on these boards, I feel less, when you're painting on a nice gallery panel, it feels more important or critical in a sense. So the nice thing about this, yeah, you can play with the composition or the architecture of the lines if you want. You can paint over it, layers, or you can, and then if you just work it in as a layer, it comes through really interesting later in a painting. Let me see, maybe it's this. Yeah, here you can see some of the lines from below, from an older layer, and it just creates that visual depth, which is really fun.
You hold that up higher.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good idea. See, over here, there's some from an older layer, and over here. But I painted over most of it, but it still comes through. And so every painting really is in and of itself a story, because so much of it is, it's all expression, right? And so with this, I'm gonna throw on some colors. So playing around with these bright, jolting colors and color combinations is something that we'll go through, and you'll see I'm going to just go straight from the tube onto the canvas, which I know for so many is kind of cringy, but I'll explain why that's so necessary for me. One reason is the immediacy of expressionism. I need the painting now. If I'm going to stop and I'm going to mix colors, I'm going to take that time away. I'm not responding to the immediacy of expressionism, right? Like, I need to get into it. Also, when I'm going straight on, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be fun. We'll see what happens on the canvas, and part of that exploration is what makes it so much fun.
What red are you using?
So these are fluorescent orange and fluorescent pink. The brighter, the better, in my books. So we will explore these bright colors. Another reason why the bright colors specifically are so important to me, if I do a little bit of self-psychoanalysis, is the bright colors are a way of sort of jolting that reorientation that I was talking about, almost insisting that I don't get stuck in the dark, right? That I focus more on the positive, on the joyful through color. And I also do a lot of iridescent and metallic colors. Really, I like these bright, lively, shimmering colors that really are playful, and that playfulness is not only for myself as I'm painting, and joyful in that sense, but it also, later on, it creates a lot of visual interest. So as I'm walking by my paintings, depending on where the light is, you see so many different aspects of it. When you have the iridescent and metallic colors. So I'm just gonna.
Beth, do you ever paint over some of your old paintings?
Oh yeah.
And let it sort of show through or whatever?
All the time. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. Miriam was asking if I ever paint over old paintings, and I said, oh yeah, all the time. Because sometimes there's just a whole new energy when you have a relationship with a painting, you feel like you just need to bring a new energy to it. You need to change it. It's no longer speaking to me, and so then I will go at it once again. So I'll leave that there and move on to another one. So we will play in the workshop with some really, really bright colors. Again, as I said, if you don't want to go and buy your own bright colors, you're welcome to just pay a $5 donation for the workshop, and you can use mine as much as you want. So this is a dry one that I prepared. So you can just see I kind of just went at it, just like I was doing there. And as I said, another component of what we'll explore in the first day is our compositions. And you're artists, you all have a sense of composition. But I think it's really useful to go through, particularly if you're not familiar with abstract art, if you haven't done too much, just to explore abstract composition and abstract painting. Because when you're doing expressionism, you're not really thinking about composition, you're not really thinking about the structure of the painting, right? You're just in that sort of intuitive process of expression. And so the more you practice with composition, the more you internalize it, and so then the more it sort of innately comes out in your paintings. It's easier to more intuitively create a good composition without too much, without having to think too much about it. So with that layer, one of the things, let me see. Right. One of the other techniques that I tend to, or one of the main techniques that we will explore is mark making. So you will be required to bring your own Posca fine point black marker, because we will be working a lot with that. But I have here Sakura solid markers. Has anyone played around with these before? They're really fun. So I'll have some of these that you'll be able to use in the workshop, because I don't expect you to go out and get your own. But they're really fun. And when you have a foundation of sort of an explosion of color, again, you can use it as a basic architecture to play with.
Is that a wax? Kind of a wax?
It is like a wax, yeah. And when it's fun too, because when I work with the acrylic ink on top of it, it doesn't settle on it the same as on a canvas, so it creates really interesting blotchiness, which I love.
And what are they called?
The brand is Sakura, like Sakura, and they're just solid marker, solidified paint for high temperature. I know that industrial suppliers provide them, but I know they're also at Opus. So yeah, they're interesting. They're really interesting. They're fun. They're really fun. And so let me work with the Posca. Now, with the paint markers, the little ones I love because you can get really detailed. You can move more from a contemplative process or from an expressive, like the physicality of an expressive process into a more contemplative practice that can get really meditative and reflective, and I love that. Often I save the more detailed kind of line work for later layers. But the black Posca markers are really key. And
Can I go back to your fundamental painting? Was that random, those colours?
These here?
Yeah.
Random, yeah, I do tend to gravitate towards these colors. So they are repetitive in a lot of my paintings. They tend to be at the top of my paint piles most, and so I am just sort of grabbing towards them a lot. But yeah, they're...
Well, you've got repetition in two colours. Was that deliberate or just that day you did that?
Not consciously deliberate, but they are the ones that I grab most. So I don't know if they're just I've developed a habit of using them, but I certainly most love these colors the best, and this color combination. It's one that I'm just most drawn to. I had my brother is getting married, and as a wedding gift I offered to paint him a painting, and I asked my soon-to-be sister-in-law for her preferred palette. And she said, soft desert colors. I was like, oh. And I did it, and it turned out, and it was beautiful. It was challenging. So it's good for me to challenge myself every now and then. So I do try to go in other directions, but inevitably, unless I'm painting for my brother and his wife, I do always come back to bright colors, whether it's these bright colors or it's other bright colors. Inevitably, I just can't help it.
It's like series almost, right? A series.
Yeah. A lifelong series now. So here, this is more acrylic ink, like similar to this, and I brought this out with just a fine paintbrush because I get kind of bored with just, the same width of a line, and it's just so much more fun to... This paintbrush isn't working well. Hang on. It's fun to vary up the width.
Can you use Japanese ink too?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
So can you mix ink and acrylics, and what else do you find that you can mix without having a problem?
In my paintings?
Could you repeat the question? Oh, I was asking what other things you can use on the same acrylic ink.
Well, this is acrylic ink.
Acrylic ink, so everything is based with acrylics, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the paint, the solid marker, to be honest. It is very waxy. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is. It's not really, doesn't really say on here. So I'm not sure about that. Yes, Coop? Yeah, usually I'll spray it with a satin finish and then just to hold it, because sometimes the acrylic paint markers will smudge. And then once I spray it, then I do a further satin finish usually. Yeah, just to secure it in there. Yeah, that's what I spray it with the satin varnish or matte varnish, whatever I have handy, which I guess is kind of like an affixative. Just to prevent the smudging of the pencil crayons or the paint markers, whatever it is that I've been working with. Are there any other questions? Please don't hesitate to jump in. All right. So in the workshop, we'll practice. I will ask you to bring your sketchbook for the first day, so we can try out a lot of different of these techniques and just explore and have fun. I'm hoping there'll be some opportunities to learn from each other, especially in the color combinations. I would love to experiment with a lot of different color combinations and see what we can come up with. Maybe I'll find a new color combination. And I have, you'll notice that my paintings are very layered and kind of chaotic. I was taking an art class once years ago, And my paintings inevitably were this sort of chaos and color explosions. And there's a woman next to me, and every week her paintings were always so clean and calming and minimalist. And I really admired that. And then she had just moved into a new home, and she showed me pictures of her new home. And I realized that her home is manifested in her paintings. Her home is just beautiful and calm and clean and minimalist. And then I thought about my home. And I realized that maybe, just maybe, what we paint is sort of the state of our home, perhaps the state of our mind. I have done sort of minimalist, but the problem with more minimalist painting, I find, is that it doesn't give me the time to work, to have that process that I so appreciate with abstract expressionism, right? Like that ability to use it to work through things. And that's why I get so many layers in my paintings.
Who are the famous abstract expressionists? Who are the big names in this?
Well, there's classically Jackson Pollock, Willem de Kooning, Elaine de Kooning, Jackson Pollock. Krasner. I shouldn't call it
So,
Jackson
it's
Pollock's
Pollock
wife.
and de Kooning.
De Kooning, yeah, de
Sure.
Kooning.
Yeah, I know that. Okay, thank you.
It's
Yeah,
a fabulous book about the six.
Ninth Street Woman.
Ninth
But yes, I love that book. Has anyone read that Ninth Street Woman? It's a fabulous book. If you're interested in abstract expressionism and the history of it, it's a really fabulous. It's a very big book. It's a good audiobook though.
And women in the arts.
It's the focus on women in the movement because they were so largely overlooked. I think that is being changed now.
Ninth Street Woman.
Ninth Street Woman, yeah. It's a really fabulous book, really well done. That's why I cringed when I was trying to say Lee Krasner because I said Jackson Pollock's wife and I was like, oh, I shouldn't say it that way, right? I should know her. Has anyone studied art history? I heard a little bit. Art history is such a powerful way of making sense of history. It's a really great way of understanding social movements and time periods. Right. So now, see, then I can just really fall into this of just having so much fun with the lines.
It must be great you don't have to concentrate on composition and focus.
No, composition, if there's times when composition will just happen, right? That's when it's the best, when it intuitively happens. But then there's times when, in the later layers, you need to rework it. And that's when there is more consciousness, more of a conscientious attempt to rework things a little bit. And you do, and then I do think. And yeah, or ruin it. But yeah, so there is that freeing of all the layers until you get to that sort of almost done, and then you're being very careful about the marks that you make or the colors that you put in. And that is, if I am doing color mixing, that's where that's going to happen, when I am trying to perhaps clean up some color combinations that might not work right. But I actually, I fall asleep most nights doing abstract doodling. And if you're at all interested, I'm doing an abstract doodling workshop with the North Vancouver at the beginning of my residency in North Vancouver on October 4th. There's a few spots left, it's free. And I actually brought a few of my sketches in case I didn't bring it up. It's a fun practice, so So there's just sort of this
Oh, wow.
very fun, playful
Beautiful.
way of that mindlessness to calm the brain and fall asleep. And then there's, some more, yeah, sorry. So just really playful, but a fun, circles for once. Yeah, these are done with pens, and if I'm traveling, I won't bring the Posca markers, so I'll just be using regular markers like alcohol ink. And it's really a playful, fun practice. These ones that oops, thanks. It depends. Sometimes if I can't sleep, it'll take me a night. Sometimes if I fall asleep right away, it can take me a week. It depends, I guess, on how stressful my life is in the moment.
Beth, there's some Kandinsky in there.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, Kandinsky. Yeah, so Kandinsky, yes, definitely. It's interesting. I do find with the line work, that's more of a pre-World War II, more around closer to World War I type of line work people were really challenging the sort of structures in their lives that modernism was bringing and shaping. And so I do find a lot of the structures, and some people have done some analysis for me and said that because I work with so many social structures in my research, that it's somehow an expression of that, of me trying to work through the limitations of the structures that cause structural violence and poverty and whatnot. So, there's interesting interpretations of that for sure, but certainly the lines do speak to me. So that workshop in North Vancouver, I think you can find it with North Vancouver Recreation and Culture and VRC on their website as part of BC Culture Days. But that's just a 2-hour workshop, so. All right. And then just really playful, maybe I'll just do a bit of asemic writing in here. And scribble writing. I'm glad you mentioned that. And the nice thing also, I don't have to worry about composition, don't have to worry about it looking nice at any point, is the nice thing. You can make it get really chaotic, and then you just build layers on it until it feels done. There's not really a proper start or finish, it just kind of goes until you're done. Usually when I'm painting, I usually paint on really large canvases. The asemic writing is really, really fun with spray paint. So if you do get into asemic writing and you want to explore on a large canvas, and you get a bottle of spray paint, it's just, the physicality of it is so much fun. It's really joyful. Just make sure you have a mask for really good ventilation. But I do use spray paint a fair bit in my larger paintings. Has anyone painted with spray paint? That I will not bring, unfortunately, to the workshop. Let's see. have a few going at once. Part of that too is often because I'm just throwing paint on the canvas, I'll have more paint than I want, and then I just slap it onto another canvas, and then I have the beginnings of another painting, which is really fun. It's those surprises that are really fun for me to play with, and I never really know how it's going to turn out. I do sometimes mix them, but I find it just frustrates me to have to stop to mix. And there's something really fun about it, just sort of mixing on the canvas, because I don't plan it, and I don't know what it's gonna look like. And then I just get to go with whatever happens, right? There's no mistakes, and it's all just sort of exploration. Yes?
When do you know that it's finished?
Good question. Usually it just kind of feels like it, like when I don't want to touch it again, right? There's this feeling like it just feels right. If it doesn't reach that point, I'll usually just turn it around and leave it, and then I'll come back to it when I have some kind of, inspiration. But it kind of has to reach that point where I don't want to touch it again. So every new painting that I do is like my new favorite painting, because it reaches that point. What do the critics say?
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of collectors. Yeah, I don't know. See, there I got some black, which is kind of fun.
Can't please all the people all the time.
No, it can't please everyone. No, definitely not. Definitely not. Yes?
The marks that you made at the bottom,
Yeah.
what pen or brush did you use?
Yeah, that was just with an eyedropper with acrylic.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like the eyedropper effect, how it sort of blobs, and yeah, it's really fun.
That's Jason Pollock technique, isn't it? Eyedropper, isn't it? Dropping.
His was, yeah, the drop, I don't know if he used an eyedropper, I'm not sure.
One of them.
He splattered.
Yeah, he used the splatter technique. Yeah, I don't know about it, I think he just used I think it was like a paintbrush and dripped it, kind of, I think. I don't know.
I use eyedroppers.
Do you? And what, are you making lines or?
No, just spider webs.
Very cool.
But I copied somebody else. Like everybody.
This is how we learn, right? And then we take in whatever works for us and whatever speaks to us, and we make it our own. Yes?
Speak a bit louder about the spider web.
What?
She wants to know about the spider web.
What kind of spider? We just let it drip and then think about the spider's web and go through. I use different colours, not just grey. Red, yellow.
So this is the silver. Normally I would let that dry and messing around with that. So now I need an extra canvas.
You spoke earlier about using ink with the acrylic for something that would make interesting bubbles, or did you bring some tonight?
This acrylic ink. Yeah, and
Or alcohol or something? Something that would make
There, these, yeah, right, I said, yeah, when the acrylic paint, the acrylic ink is on top of these markers, so these are really waxy. Let me show you that, that's a good, oh, here, I've got some here. I don't know how close you'll be able to, or how well you'll be able to see. But it kind of, it doesn't create, I don't know if you can see that, it doesn't create like a solid, it sort of bubbles up. Right, so you can't, but whereas if I did it here, you can see it just creates a normal line. Right, so it creates this fun kind of blobby effect, which I think is really fun. These little surprises are fun to play with. See if I can.
What is that marker?
This is the solid paint marker made by Sakura.
Solid paint marker?
Yeah, yeah.
You see it.
Yeah.
Is that acrylic paint, the marker?
Yeah, the paint marker, I'm not sure what it is, but it's very waxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is. But the ink that I put on top, that's acrylic ink. Yeah. And alcohol does have a similar effect. I was mentioning, yeah, if you have like a wash with acrylic paint and then drop in some rubbing alcohol, creates this really cool blobby effect, which is really fun. Played around with that as well. Another one of my favorite techniques, which I won't do tonight because you need to let it dry, is just drop some wash. So take some acrylic paint, mix it with water, and then just do drops. And it creates a nice layered effect, especially as a final layer. Yeah, I've got some postcards up here that you're welcome to take. I'm just thinking if I have any wash examples in them, but I don't. But in these postcards, you can see, these ones are really large paintings, but I get very detailed, and that's where I get into that really contemplative process. I don't know if you can see if that makes it blurry or not. Anyways, I've got some of these up here. You can explore the mark making that I do, that I get really into.
I quite like some of the ones that you do that are more architectural, they're like building blocks.
Yeah, and this is when I've gone to art shows and had gallery exhibitions. The most common are very like cityscapes, either like sort of an aerial view of cityscapes or aerial view of fields and villages and that kind of thing, or like a cityscape in the sense of buildings and windows and buildings. It's that sort of blockiness, that structure that maybe is coming from my research in structural violence, as somebody once suggested. I don't know. Yeah, so any questions? Yes?
How many layers would you, does it vary or?
Yeah, it really varies. So these are samples of paintings that I was doing the last couple days to work through how I would develop painting for the workshop. So you can get a sense of the amount of layers that if you follow me on day 2 of the workshop, you'll create a painting with a similar depth. These ones, I don't know, difficult to count layers, but maybe 5 or 6. That is a reason why I do, if you have a heat gun, I will encourage you to bring a heat gun if you have one. Hair dryer is the second best thing, but definitely heat gun is best so that you can dry things more quickly and move on. I will be investing in one more of these before the workshop, so I'll have 2 with me. But if you have a heat gun, that would definitely be helpful. So then you don't get into what was happening here with the asemic writing, blending, getting mixed in with the other. Then you can layer properly and cleanly. Yeah.
Have you ever done this work on actual building?
No.
Oh, it's your next.
Yeah, I did murals in my past art life, but I was doing very stylized illustrations at that point, so it was that, not abstract. Abstract on a painting, or not on a building would be challenging.
Yes.
Fascinating, yes? She was asking if I'd ever done anything of, like, my paintings on a building. Yeah, like a mural, yeah. Yes?
Could you show us a painting that you consider finished?
Well, these ones I consider finished.
Okay.
Yeah, these ones I consider finished. There's another one that I did in preparation for this that I consider finished. This one here. Yeah, you can see the shimmer in it. I'll bring a lot of really fun things as well. Like I've got liquid chrome marker, so that creates a mirror-like effect, which is really fun, just with small little amounts. This one here has a little bit in the center and a little bit over there, so you can see it from certain angles as you walk by. So just these fun little additions can really add intrigue to a painting. They're really just, fun and playful.
Where do you buy all these special little images?
That's a good question. Bombing Science is a graffiti art store online, and that's where I get my spray paint and things like this, and Bombing Science, BOMBING, like bombing science. Yeah, it's a graffiti art store online, and they have a wonderful array of really cool materials that I when I want to treat myself, that's where I go. Other questions? Okay, good. Well, I think unless I dry things, I don't think I can do anything more at this point. So I guess we'll call it a day. But please do come up and grab a postcard. And I really hope to see some of you there. It would be great to have you in the workshop. I'm really excited about it. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. Okay, so thank you.